everybody. It's Brian Hodge, broker owner at the Realty Firm in London and Oxford County. And this is another edition of the No Secret Agents podcast, where we look to showcase a lot of our members who are having tremendous success, not only professionally, but personally, contributing to their community and to the entire real estate environment. Today, I am honored to welcome Tiffany Fewster-Salt to the No Secret Agents podcast. Tiffany, welcome. Tell us a little bit about you and how did you get into real estate?
Okay, so a little bit about me. I am very Woodstock local. I have lived here since I was a baby, not born here, but raised here. I married a man from Woodstock. We've stayed in Woodstock. We live just outside of Woodstock now. All my family is still in Woodstock. We just really like where we live. So why I got into real estate, I did think about this, and it's not like a really exciting story, but the gist of it is I don't really do well with authority. So, or, someone telling me what I have to do, where I have to be, when I have to be there, which my clients get to do. But at the end of the day, I'm responsible for if I'm doing really well. I'm responsible if I'm not doing really well. So answering to myself is kind of where I do better than answering to someone else. So that's where real estate.
And very good to know, although we've worked together for some time now.
Yeah,
so I know
there's been some moments where people have tried to mold me and fold me in a certain direction, and they've learned very quickly that doesn't happen with me.
Got it. It's all about being your authentic.
Very authentic, yes.
Getting into the local community, Oxford County is our secondary market as the Realty Firm got going. We're now in 5 markets. But what I learned very quickly is that, smaller community, things operate a little bit differently, much the same, but in many ways differently. What does community really mean to you? And not only personally, but professionally, and your take on it as far as a smaller community in Ontario goes?
I think I'm a very community-driven individual. I was able to be a lot more involved in community initiatives prior to becoming a mother, to be honest, because I have 3 young kids, and that takes a lot of time, but it also puts me back in that community a little bit with them, and I'm able to show them what it means to live in a smaller community where kind of that everybody knows your name. So one of the reasons my last name is Fewster-Salt instead of just taking my husband's name, even though he's a great local guy too, is my parents and my uncle and, everybody that carried that Fewster name proudly in this community has, I believe, helped me in real estate. My parents were very well respected as registered nurses. My uncle was very involved in golf and curling and all of that sort of stuff. So I like to keep that part of my name because I feel like it connects me. It starts a lot of conversations with a lot of people in this community. Being in a small community, again, it's that everybody knows your name. Your reputation is very important. How you treat people is very important. And it's easier to get involved and get recognized for that, I think. And when you can give back and stay in that community, once you get, a bigger scale of things, it's harder to be hyper local and be involved in your community because it's just, you're kind of out of reach, I believe. But I've never lived in a larger community, so I really don't know what that would be like. I would try my best, but I think it's easier in a local community, smaller, local.
So I would say really your roots are here.
My roots are here. Yeah. And I have that conversation a lot. Why we never left. None of our family ever left. And family and community mean a lot to us in all aspects of life.
What is one thing about Oxford County that maybe first-time visitors don't necessarily realize?
Oh, Oxford County is close to everything. It's a growing community, but it still has a very small feel, right? So there is, Woodstock would probably be the largest city in Oxford County, and there's a lot of smaller towns and villages outside of Oxford County. But generally speaking, there's no big city feel to any of the small areas in Oxford County, but you're within reach of bigger cities. So 30 minutes on the highway, we're very close to the highway, no matter where you are in Oxford County. You can be to a bigger city center. So you don't, but we have everything you need here, but we don't have that big city feel.
Yes. So take us inside of your real estate journey. When did you start? How's the trajectory been for you? It's different for everybody.
Sure.
We're in a really interesting market right now.
That's my favorite word, interesting. Yes.
But tell us a little bit about that journey in particular.
So I was 24 when I got into real estate. Again, it was kind of, I was faced with this. It was someone I was dating at the time said, you can't work for someone else. You don't answer well to other people. You need to find something that you're your own boss. And at 24, to be honest, I had no interest in real estate whatsoever.
Right.
I thought real estate agents were schmarmy. So that kind of motivated me too, because I was like, I could try to change this, right? It seemed like an old man's club to me, and traditionally it was. And so it was 2008. The market wasn't great, but I set out to get my real estate license, and someone suggested I get in touch with Brad Vink, who is, I've worked with since I got into real estate. And I got into it, and it was tough. Yeah. It isn't, I see now new agents come in and kill it. And that just didn't happen then. I remember people would ask me if I even owned my own property. I was young. I looked young. I didn't own a home. So I didn't have much confidence.
Right.
But I learned very quickly to get thick skin and stand up for myself and fight for my clients. And so, yeah, the market was not great, but I feel like getting into it when I did taught me a lot of how to sustain my business throughout the years, because it wasn't, overnight success by any stretch. And I'm glad I got into it before I had a family to support.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's different. We got licensed the same year.
We did. Yes.
And I would say right now, in my mind, I don't know about you, but very similar as far as tough market, especially for a new agent. We have more experienced agents right now leaving the entire industry than ever before.
I'm not surprised.
That's a fact. They've gotten tired of tech. They've gotten tired of changes. They've gotten tired of keeping up. And of course, the market's been all over the place. What would you say is the one thing that sets you apart as a realtor?
My beaming personality.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not sure. I think I'm relatable. There's not a lot of fluff, like I'm a pretty genuine, this is the person I am, whether you're meeting me in the grocery store or to purchase your home. I work really hard for my clients, and I think I'm relatable. I'm not trying to set myself on some sort of pedestal.
Yep.
I'm in a journey with them just like they are. And hopefully they feel that way. We could ask Daniel.
It's kind of funny right now because when we started, social media wasn't nearly as big of a thing.
I don't even think I had Facebook.
Right.
I mean, that's dating. It's a long time ago, but.
And not that I wasn't the rock star real estate type of ego at one point, but right now, it seems like everybody is. Everybody.
I don't really, you have to be on social media.
Yeah.
You have to have a presence. There's no way around it. The whole secret agent thing, like if people don't see you doing what you're doing, they don't know what you're doing. But I don't believe in the exaggeration of what we're doing. We're doing a job like everybody else. Nobody wants to see the ins and outs of what work looks like, really. It's a highlight reel. Social media is just a highlight reel. Personally, I've voiced this opinion many times. I think it's very overused. I think it's deceiving. Like any social media is. I always say the couple that, I might get in trouble for saying this, but the couple that looks the happiest on social media usually isn't. So take that for what it is. People don't like what I say about social media, but that's just my feelings.
What I've noticed with social is that real estate agents are a little bit inauthentic, like you mentioned there. And so we're not doctors. We're not saving lives. We're doing a good job if we do a good job, but that's it. And
we're trying our best.
Yeah, we're trying our best, doing right things, doing the next right thing right, all that stuff. But it's just gotten way out of hand with the glamorization of what we do, I feel.
Yeah, I don't think we're influencers. Some are, and that's fine. I don't have the time, even if I wanted to do it, to be blatantly honest. It hasn't crossed my mind that maybe I should do more. I know I don't need to do less, but I also feel that social media too is the consumer's opportunity to kind of see who you are as a person too. So again, if there's authenticity, I think that's good.
How do you stay focused and sharp inside of this market after all this time?
Oh, stay focused and sharp. Oh, I don't know. Sometimes I'm not. I'll use last year as an example. I had to make a shift. It's no surprise to any other real estate agent that I actually failed to complete my courses on time. I was running all sorts of ways thinking I could just kind of keep going, right, without having to really pinpoint every area of my life and how I'm spending my time. I didn't time audit myself, but I realized that my focus wasn't where it needed to be. So just realizing that, I try and, I say when I'm working, I need to remain focused on that. When I'm not working, I need to remain focused on that. And I find when the crossover happens, which it always does, things can get a little muddy and things can get forgotten and I can get a little bit foggy. So really separating those aspects of my life, carving out the time to work and be the real estate agent, carving out the time to be the mom, the wife, and then I have my side hustle as well. So carving out the time to clearly focus on that. Keeping everything together but separate is how I stay sharp, I would say.
So how do you do that, though? Because, I mean, this business, I think the greatest thing that people don't realize about this business is the proximity that we give to other people as far as, being available.
Yeah.
And so how do you make it all work separating when they, the timing, it's not
the timing. One of the things I dislike that people say, especially when they're thinking of getting into real estate, is like, oh, it must be great. You can make your own schedule.
Yeah.
It is the complete opposite.
Yeah.
You work when no one else does, right? So evenings, weekends, early mornings, late nights, some very late nights, you're available to your clients. My boundaries are with clients, especially if I don't answer, I'm not available, right? That's it. I don't take my phone into where I need to rest. It stays away. So once it's done, it's done. I turn it off, right? So, but, if there's urgency, I am always available. Usually there's not urgency in all areas of my life. Right. So you can focus on the urgent things when you need to, and then that's what I say to my clients. If I'm available, I answer right away. If I'm not, I get back to you as soon as possible. And I never read a text message until I have time to respond to it. That's something I've learned is reading the text messages and going back to something you were focused on. And that's when you forget. Right. So that's when things start to slip.
For sure.
Multitasking is not something that scientifically anyone is able to do. We live in a fast-paced world. Everyone's trying to multitask, but your brain doesn't actually have the capability to focus on more than one thing at once. And knowing that has really changed the way I operate.
I love that, though. That's a very good point about the time that it takes, not separating things and whatnot. I guess one of my questions is, you are mom of 3.
Yeah.
So is it possible? I would say yes, obviously, that you're doing it. Is it possible to make it all work? Because I get that question all the time. Can I do other things? Can I have a family? What's it going to be like? What's your take on that?
Again, I'm glad I got into real estate prior to having children. So my kids know no different. I don't miss big events, and I'm glad I had my career established, because I feel like if I didn't and I got into real estate when they were all little, I would be missing lots of things I didn't want to miss because I would be chasing things other than my children. People said to me I would fail in real estate because I was a young woman and I would get married and have children. And so I said, well, I just won't do those things. And then I did. And I find that it is hard to do it all. And there was a speech that someone famous made, and I can't remember their name, so it's not going to hit as hardly as it would. But she's very successful. She's a director, producer, and she was giving a speech like at a graduation in a university or something. And everyone always asked her, how do you do it all? She said, you don't. You're either a really good mother and things are falling off. Like you feel like I'm either really rocking it in motherhood.
Yeah.
I'm always there for my kids. They're thriving. They all seem happy. I feel like I'm really involved, but then I feel like business may be on the sideline. If I'm really rocking it in real estate, I'm like, I haven't seen my kids in a week. So there's I've never had a moment in my life. And again, with being part owner of another business, which I'm not super involved in the day to day, but always when I feel like one is really excelling, I'm thinking about the other, saying, I got to do something over here. So there's never a moment in my whole career that I felt like I'm doing it all on all the levels. People think, oh, how do you do it all? You don't do it all. You do it all little bits at a time.
No, nothing's perfect. And people say the same thing to me. Like, how do you do so much with the time that you have? But there's times where I'm all about the kids and real estate's in the back of my mind and I'm going, how do I make that work? And then there's times where I'm in the middle of a deal and my kid's talking to me and I'm not hearing what they're saying.
Right.
Like, that's just human nature and
Yeah.
that's life. Nothing's perfect. What advice would you give to somebody thinking about getting into the real estate industry today?
Don't do it. Just because I'd like to keep the business to myself. Especially if I know you.
Love it.
If you're a self-motivated person and you like you like relationships, you have to like people. You have to like talking to people.
Yeah.
Because again, with the social media thing, you can look great on social media, but you actually have to be able to have
Yes.
really deep, meaningful conversations with people. You have to care. And if that's not you, don't do it. And if you don't want to work weekends and evenings, absolutely don't do it.
No. There's no way. There's no way around that. I don't
No.
care who you are. At some point, you are going to be busy at times.
Especially in the beginning, because that's when you really have to get out there. That's when, I did open houses every weekend for years because I could. I didn't have kids. We didn't have major commitments. I didn't have other things pulling me
Yep.
in other directions. So I said it to my sister. She thought about it. And I was like, perfect. You can do all my open houses for the next 2 years. And she decided not to get into real estate.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oxford County, in terms of the state of the market, what's happening right now, what would you say is May 2025? What's the big picture looking like?
Pretty balanced.
Yeah.
There's a lot of uncertainty in our world in general, and that always trickles down. Whatever's happening in the world affects real estate, right? But I've seen a lot worse markets. I've seen a lot less, a lot more uncertainty in the market. People are careful,
Yeah.
and it's time people be careful. People were very uncareful for many years,
For sure.
and it created a big mess.
And it's a weird time in the world still.
Yeah.
We talk about that.
Yeah, we won't talk about that here.
No. We'll leave our views to our private conversations.
I want people to like me, Ryan. Come on.
You think people should buy right now, sell right now?
You're buying and selling in the market you're in.
No matter what,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I say to people, if you're a first-time buyer, there's the only time you should care, or really invest a lot of emotional thought into a market is if you're on your way out or on your way in.
Yeah.
So yeah, first-time buyers, you should be paying attention to the market, talking with a professional and understanding what this really looks like. There's a lot of opportunity right now. I never say wait until everybody else is ready to buy because you'll be chasing your tail just like everyone else was years ago.
Yeah.
But if you're buying and selling, you're buying and selling in the market you're in, right? So whether the market is lower, higher, busier, slower, there's always you're gaining on one end or the other, right? So if you think, I want to wait until my house is worth more. Well, guess what? You're going to pay more for the house you're buying, right? So I think buying and selling is always the right move.
Yeah. Real estate trades all the time.
Yes,
In any market, in any condition,
market.
there's opportunity.
always,
For sure.
always.
2025 and beyond, what is in store for the rest of the year for you, your family? What's going on?
What is going on? Yeah, we're busy. Again, 3 girls. They're in sports and dance, and things wrap up, new things start. It's a good year. Yeah, I feel more positive about this year than I probably did end of last year or even a month ago.
Sure.
It's just we're here for it,
Love it.
whatever
Love
it looks like.
Where can people find you and to learn all about what you do, whether it's online, website, social media? We'll be sure to post it as well. But if people want to find out more about Tiffany Fewster-Salt, where can they find you?
They can see me out in the community. Maybe.
And tell us a little bit about that, because you have some specific initiatives that you've been recently involved with and always involved with.
Well, the Realtors Care Food Drive is huge.
Yep.
Very hyper local, actually happening very soon. So it's probably going to be done by time this podcast is
Yeah.
shown.
Yeah.
But it's something we'd be doing, I think, 14 or 15 years here in Oxford County, started in Woodstock. Kelly Byers was the initial kind of like one spearheading it and is still very involved. And it is a hugely successful event. We support Operation Sharing. Traditionally, we support Salvation Army. We're supporting Salvation Army in other communities as well. And that's something about a local community, like a small community, right? As soon as you get those bigger communities, these types of events,
They don't.
they don't happen. It's impossible, right? But because we're this small community oriented, real estate board and place, we're able to have these initiatives. We do I Drive for Teachers. We have an In Out of the Cold event where we collect items for people in need and just like the food. So that's part of the Realtors Care Committee, which I've been on for years and will continue to be on for as long as I can, because it is a way for me to be able to give my time, but not something like when I used to volunteer and had more time to give. It's kind of, with other people, I can make this happen.
Yeah, Sandra, she walked the other night and delivered, so she's all about it too.
I
And
like my kids seeing this happen too,
Yeah.
right? They help out. They see me work a lot, but then they can see where it can give back too.
Sure.
Right? They have a lot of opportunities to kind of witness what this looks like.
Well, you've been a huge part of the Realty Firm as far as, our involvement in community initiatives. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome. I'll keep making you participate.
Yes. And again, let us know where people can find you online, contact
Right.
information, that sort of stuff.
Randomly on social media, easy to find there.
Yes.
And my website, tiffanyfewster-salt.com, the B&B Real Estate Team page. And again, out and about.
Out and about. Love it. I'm honored to work with you. I
Likewise.
love our conversations. They're always interesting as we
I
discuss.
like to keep it interesting.
And good things ahead. This is another episode of the No Secret Agents podcast at the Realty Firm. Today we had Tiffany Fewster-Salt, and as always, we're going to continue to bring you great episodes. Stay tuned. Wait for this one to drop, and we'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks again.